Hello, my name is Anabela Costa Leão. I'm very glad to be here. I have participated to the work of ERA experts since the very beginning with a survey about cultural expertise in Portugal, and I have participated in the inaugural conference of the project in 2016, and it's wonderful to be back and to see how the project evolved and all this data we have now to discuss. I am currently assistant professor at the Faculty of Law of the University of Porto and integrated researcher at CISVTUP, the local research center unit. And my research is focused on law and cultural diversity issues. I will present quantitative and qualitative data on Portugal and Spain. My presentation is based on data collected by Catarina Gorgunova and Beatriz Barreiro Carril. There were 506 responses to the Portugal survey, of which 44% were judges, 46% were lawyers, 6% were experts, and 4% were beneficiaries. There were 185 responses to the survey in Spain, of which 39% were judges, 31% were lawyers, 22% were experts, and 8%, this is correct, were beneficiaries. Judges and lawyers were the largest categories of respondents in both Portugal and Spain, but lawyers are the most represented category in Portugal. In the Spanish survey, the number of experts is higher than in Portugal, both in absolute and relative terms. Now, looking at the perceptions of cultural expertise's usefulness in court, both Portugal and Spain rank among the countries which consider cultural expertise very useful. Portugal ranks 5th, Spain ranks 6th in the chart of comparative perceptions. The most common response in Spain to the question regarding the usefulness of cultural expertise in court was very useful, 28%. 20% considered cultural expertise extremely useful, and only 1% of the respondents chose not useful at all. In Portugal, the most common response was also very useful, 31%, followed by moderately useful, extremely useful, 21%, and only 3% answered not at all useful. Now moving to the frequency. For how many cases did you instruct experts annually? More than half of the responding judges and lawyers in Spain, 59%, chose less than 10, followed by 26% respondents having no experience in appointing cultural experts. In Portugal, most judges and lawyers, 70%, chose also less than 10, followed by 16% of respondents having no experience in appointing cultural experts. Like Spain, Portugal showed a great majority of respondents appointing less than 10 experts, but the number of judges and lawyers choosing this option was higher than in Spain. Also, respondents with no experience in appointing cultural experts are 16% comparing to 26% in Spain. Now moving to the typology of experts. In Spain, the most common response to the question regarding the expert type was native language speakers, 28%. Then come other, then university professors with 93% and country experts with 16%. Now, when asked about specific disciplines of these university professors, law comes first, 31% of the respondents answered law. Then anthropology, 21%, sociology, 18%, linguistic and political science with 80% each, then history with 5%. So it's different from other examples that we've seen previously. In Portugal, the most common response was university professors with 41%, closely followed by native language speakers with 38%. So we have here a little bit different scenario. In Portugal, we also see an interest in the experts knowing the languages. This has been mentioned before. We can see them as cultural mediators. However, experts seem to be primarily identified by their academic knowledge. There is university professors, 41%. Most of them, again, from law, 43%, then sociology, linguistic, political science, anthropology, and history. There is no information here about Portuguese respondents choosing other, which is the second category in Spain. Moving to the remuneration of experts, while in Portugal, 50% of responses indicate that experts were paid at a set price per report, followed by voluntary basis and standard hourly rate. In Spain, 42% of responses indicate other, then standardly hourly rate with 37%, and only 21% of the respondents indicate that experts were paid at the set price per report. The difference may reflect the differences in the type of experts. Now moving to the fields of law. In Spain, the most common areas of use of cultural expertise were refugee and asylum law and immigration law, both with 12%. Then comes family law with 11%, criminal law, international human rights law, medical and bio law, and administrative law. All the remaining areas, including labor law or health law, account for 4% or less. In Portugal, the most common area of cultural expertise used was family law with 16%. Then comes criminal law, 14%, and only then immigration law, 7%, medical and bio law, refugee and asylum law, and health law, each representing 6%. So the most common areas of use of cultural expertise are different. While in Spain it was refugee and asylum and immigration law, closely followed by family law and criminal law, in Portugal the most common area of use of cultural expertise was family law. Then comes criminal law, then immigration law and refugee and asylum law. Now moving to the types of cases. According to the project findings in Spain, expertise has been recorded in asylum, refugee cases, cases concerning acquisition of citizenship, but also cases concerning customary and unregistered religious marriages and divorces, or granting pensions to widows in cases involving polygamy. Other cases address discrimination, including Islamophobia, access to religious education, religious monuments, and bans on religious attire. While several cases pertain to ethnic profiling, stereotyping or hate speech, others touch upon cultural rights and practices, for example, voodoo or the culture of bullfighting. In Portugal, according to the findings, cultural expertise appears in cases concerning international protection and citizenship, and also extradition. But there are also cases concerned with that related to the Roma minority, namely issues concerned related to school attendance, age of consent, and social integration measures. The out-of-court sites of cultural expertise were organized along 4 categories. In the map, red represents healthcare, blue represents education, yellow represents varia, and purple represents detention centers. In Spain, court represents the most common site of cultural expertise with 25%, but cultural expertise through NGOs represents 24% of the answers. Then comes out of court with 13%. Hospitals represent 8%, in universities and schools both have 7% each. Other and in detention centers follow with 5%. If we explore this map, we find that out-of-court sites of cultural expertise in Spain include public departments from municipalities as well as private associations promoting, for example, Roma inclusion or supporting specific communities. We also find sites on academic training on religious diversity, translation services, consultancy companies, and associations working in the field of heritage or cultural management. In Portugal, the most common site of cultural expertise was in court, 88%. This is different clearly from Spain. It is followed by out of court with 4% and other with 3%. The survey indicates only 1% for in school, in universities, in hospitals, in detention centers, or through NGOs or through private consultancy. And if we explore this map very briefly, we find that out-of-court sites of cultural expertise in Portugal include the network of local support centers for the integration of migrants, and partner organizations, as well as private associations promoting the inclusion of certain groups or supporting specific communities. We also find sites on academic training, encompassing cultural dimensions and training and translation services. We don't have much data on training programs, however, we can say that courses and training programs in associations and universities concerning cultural diversity can be found in both countries. Just a brief note, in 2021, the Center for Judicial Studies in Portugal promoted a course on multiculturalism and law to raise awareness among judicial actors to situations of multiculturalism in court. To finish my presentation, main sites and potential models of cultural expertise. As we can see, both Portugal and Spain rank among countries which consider cultural expertise in court very useful. In Portugal, the most common site of cultural expertise was in court with 88%, a percentage that is clearly higher than in Spain, where court represents 25% of cultural expertise sites, closely followed by through NGOs with 24%. As you've seen, in both countries, judges are required to use knowledge about cultural in different types of cases. Both Portuguese and Spanish legal system allow for the appointment of experts in court, and in both countries, Euro expert data shows that the most common factor influencing the decision to appoint was client request. Finally, the analysis of the cases collected in Coltex database shows that associations and public services and institutions frequently perform as experts in Portugal, a scenario that is, I believe, favored by the legal regulation of expertise.